Violent crimes. Now, people don't usually use computers for violent crimes, but they like to brag about them using, Microsoft Word or just text files or whatever it might be. The forensic examiner has to be familiar with all different kinds of software, not just Microsoft Office, but all different kinds of things that people can use and that are involved with crime. So the person has to know. The forensic examiner has to know about the crime, has to know all different kinds of programs that can be used, to assist in the crime or to record the crime if the person wants to record it. Whatever seems to be going on in the crime, the person should know how to use all kinds of applications and files and identify files that are used by these applications and be able to get the information from them. So there's obvious places like the My Documents folder. They're found in the hard disk drive. Or if you don't know, you can do a search for files that you think, for, let's say, information in the files that you think might have information on the crime. Let's say, whatever it is. So the crime was a murder using a gun. So you might just do a search. In which file would you ever find the text? Something called gun. Again, that might give a lot. There's only 3 syllables, or maybe even an address. The person might have typed out where the address was, where to do the crime. So look through that. There again, these are obvious things to do, and the forensic expert will first start with the obvious. Sometimes, however, the obvious is not good enough, and sometimes it just isn't there, can't be seen in a simple file search. So if it was deleted, for example. So in that case, we've got to do some real heavy-duty stuff. We have to know the difference between visible data and latent data. Visible data is something that if you, using your Microsoft Windows Explorer, can find using the file tree, if you can find that's visible data. If you can't, it's latent data. Deleted files are latent data. Some visible data that people might not know about, such that they would delete them, are temporary work files. These are like some applications. They're worried about if let's say the plug gets pulled and your computer just suddenly shuts off for some reason. It saves every, let's say, 5 minutes. It'll save all the data in the application. So the person might not know where these things are saved, so he might not delete those files, but the forensic analyst will look for them and may find files that the person later deleted. Might find the files that weren't deleted because they're temporary work files, even though the suspect or the criminal deleted the actual file. There's also print spool files that if you send the file to the printer might take, let's say, a few minutes. So the printer's going to, first thing the printer does or the computer does, or the printer, is it saves these files somewhere, the information to send to the printer, so that if you while the printer is printing your file, you can close your file. The printer's still okay printing because it's got that other file that was saved, and which has all the data the printer needs. But if you can find these files, and again, the analyst will be able to find these files, even though the person might have later deleted the file that was told it to print, the print spool file will have all the information. On that file, even though the original file was deleted. There's also swap space file. These are not exactly technically hidden. They are pretty much, people usually can't find them. But this is where RAM sometimes gets saved in the swap space as swap space files. If a person knows where they are, they're actually not hidden. If you know where to look and know what these files are called, you can actually find them yourself using the Windows Explorer. But most non-experts don't know that the files that RAM was saved in these swap spaces. But the forensic analyst will they should know what these files are, and they know how to open them. And it's not easy to read the information in them, but again, there are a lot of applications that would help with this. So uncommon space for evidence are the swap space files. They're not necessarily hidden. We mentioned this. When the computer has RAM and it wants to free up the RAM, so it'll save it in the swap space, which can later on be recovered. Even if the computer is turned off, these were saved in the hard disk drive, and if you know where to find it, it simply is going to be there when you turn the computer on again. It will be found in the image. There's also unallocated space. That these are areas on the disk that computer knows if you ever need to save it here. But it doesn't mean these spaces are completely empty. Deleted files are put there. So this is latent. This is latent data. They can't be found by an ordinary file search, but they are there. And if you know where the space is, you know where to find these files, which may be deleted files or other information that you might need that might be useful. There's also slack space. That's areas within a sector or a cluster where the computer is ready to write to it. It may or may not have data, but it might have deleted files after defragmentation. Whatever it is, this is space that people don't see, but it may contain, let's say, deleted files. It may contain information that's useful. It may contain evidence. So the question is, how do you get it? Well, the basic answer is to find some application that knows where to do it. I mean, I don't think they're going to write their own programs to do it. They already have plenty of programs out there. We actually saw an image of the Encase program. There are, I think Forensic Autopsy is actually free, but anyway, some of them are free, and you can get them. And you can analyze the disk for all different kinds of strange information you didn't even know was there in the swap file locations. You can find it in deleted files. You can find a lot of things in there. But these programs they enable you to find it relatively easily, and sometimes even read it. Some of them are even free. It's also true that sometimes people they delete a file. The first thing you do is you might want to look in the if you really want it back, you look in the recycle bin. But sometimes you empty the recycle bin, and if so, you're pretty much hosed, right? That's what you think. But again, if you know how to use these programs, they will find these deleted files, and you can sometimes recover them. If they were overwritten, there's pretty much not much you can do because the information simply vanished. It was overwritten; it's not there anymore. But if you didn't overwrite it and you know how to use these programs, you can actually recover a file that you totally deleted, even from the recycle bin. The thing is, even though programs are used, the lawyers have every right to, and very often will, question the expert witness who says, "Well, I used the Encase program, and it said that this file was here, and it showed that this person was guilty," or whatever they're going to say. So the lawyer can say, "How did this Encase program work? What did it exactly do?" So he's got to say, well, you can't just say, well, the computer said so. The program said that it was really there on the. They've got to be able to back it up and say, well, I know this was in swap space. I had to remove it from there. I had to be able to view it using a certain program which gets to the information. Whatever they've got to say, they've got to understand what they're doing, not just say the program told me to. The program said so. Some of these applications they have the ability to save any RAM. So this is important. If a computer is found and it's on, use these programs, get that RAM in case it's useful or important. And you're going to do a simple Google search. You might find a few of yourself that you might find interesting and useful for yourself. And if you want to go into that field, it's actually, I think it pays more than most other forensic fields.